Yeah, if you're just joining, I wanted to put this together because in the group, especially in the group, I get the question all the time, and that is, I saw XYZ picture, and what does it mean? Right? I get, this question comes up. I want to say it comes up like it's the number one question that comes up. And so I wanted to go ahead. Hi, Alicia. Good to see you. I wanted to go ahead and address this, right? Because I want to say that there's different stages to, when you get these signals, and then interpreting what they actually mean is part of it. Okay. So yeah, Philip and Monique, yeah, great. Y'all are meeting each other. That's awesome. Okay, so what I want to talk about here is that, like I said, a lot of people are asking in the group. I saw this signal. I saw 333. I saw 1111. I think I saw the spirit guide, right? I saw this number 3 that dropped on the ground. What does it mean? And so when people ask this question, I always just kind of have to laugh a little bit, because the thing is, who received the signal in the first place, right? It's you. You received the signal. But here you are asking someone else, oh, what does that mean? So the thing that I want everyone to understand from the get-go, right, was that, yeah, Monique, that was you that saw the 3 on the ground. Awesome. The thing that I want y'all to understand from the get-go is, in a way, spirit is having you in particular, see these signals, right? So whenever you ask someone else, what does that mean? What does that mean? Then it's kind of like you're short-circuiting spirit's message to you, right? In a way, it's not for anyone else to interpret it for you. It's up to you to interpret it. Does that make sense? So I want to talk about the 3 stages here. And I'm calling this the 3 stages to understanding your psychic signals. And I have some notes here, so I might be going back and forth here. So if you're just joining, for those of you that are joining for the first time, I'm Joe. I'm author of Journey of the Awakened Psychic. And as of very recently, it's now an award-winning book. I like to brag about this a little bit. It won Best Psychic Book by Soul and Spirit magazine, which is based out of the UK. So yeah, I'm the author of that book, Journey of the Awakened Psychic. And I know many of you have found my book through various marketings that I've done. And so, I want to welcome you if this is the first time you're seeing me lecture online. And as well, I'm the administrator for this group. So you might see me liking and joining the conversation. And typically when people post stuff, I like the community to post first, and then I'll post my comments later. But yeah, if this is your first time, I just want to welcome you and thank you for being part of the group and joining online, or just watching this on the recording. And I have like a little bit of allergies. It's like hay fever season here in California. It's all green and everything. So you might hear me sniffle. I apologize about that in advance. All right. So if you're just joining, part of why this is coming up is because, in the group, what gets asked more often than not is, I saw XYZ, right? I saw some spirit, I saw some pattern, I saw 333, 1111, etc. And it's great that you're receiving that signal, but what I'm seeing in the group that's become kind of a pattern is people are then posting, what does that mean? What does that mean? So let's talk about the 3 stages to interpreting these psychic signals. So stage one. First of all, acknowledge that you're even getting the signal. Does that make sense? And go ahead and type in the comments if that makes sense. And what I mean is that you're even noticing these 333s or 444s, or in my book I told my story about how when I woke up in the middle of the night and I just got this signal and I saw this glowing light, and in that moment, I just got the interpretation of it that, oh, your grandmother died, right? And it kind of came out of nowhere. But that's the key part to this first stage here, right? These things tend to come out of nowhere. Does that make sense? And when they come out of nowhere, you're not thinking, you're not analyzing, and you're not trying to figure anything out. Does that make sense? Literally, you're just walking, or maybe you see out of the corner of your eye the clock, and it's like, oh, there's a 333 there. Or, you grab a receipt from the cashier, and then on the bottom it says, oh, printed at 11:11, right? So these things come out of nowhere. And the key to remember here is that you're not thinking, and you're not trying to figure out, and you're not analyzing. All right, so is this first stage clear? You're getting the signals, and you're not thinking about it. They seem to come out of nowhere. And so that's the first stage. Now, the second stage is where people are asking that question. I saw this, what does it mean? Right? I saw this, what does that mean? That's the second stage. And so a lot of you are really good about, I got the signal, I got this weird signal, right? But when it comes to the second stage, what does it mean? Here's the problem here, and hopefully y'all get this, right? In stage one, you're getting that signal because you're not thinking. Does that make sense? You're not thinking. So whenever you start to ask, what does that mean? Guess what? You're starting to think now. Okay? You're starting to analyze. You're starting to figure out. You're in figure out mode. Does that make sense? So in essence, what happens when you do that is that when you start thinking, when you start using your rational mind, guess what? You've effectively turned off your psychic mind. Okay? And just let that sink in for a moment, right? The moment you start thinking about this too much, the moment you start analyzing, and I know you all are thinking about it because you go like this. This is thinking face. Right? Your hand goes to your chin, you're like, what does that mean? Right? But guess what? That moment that you do, what does that mean? You've exited your psychic space, and you've entered into your rational space, right? And Philip is like, oops. All right, so is this making sense so far? So that's why when people start to ask, what does that mean? What does that mean? What does that mean? When I teach my classes, I teach a class, especially in the clairvoyant training program. There's a specific class just all about the analyzer and how to turn down the analyzer, right? And then the effects of the analyzer on your psychic abilities. Now, I will say that the analyzer is great for math. Right? The analyzer is great for balancing your checkbook, right? Or thinking logically, like, oh, step one, logically step two, then logically step three should come after this. But when it comes to your intuitive abilities, right? All that, you just need to throw all that out the window. All right, so is all this making sense? Nancy's saying 1, 2, 3, 4 on the clock all the time. Yeah, so that's what I mean. You all are getting these signals. That's stage one, getting the signals. And in that stage, you're not thinking about anything. You're not analyzing. You're not trying to figure anything out. Does that make sense? Let's go ahead and comment so I could get some feedback on that all this is making sense. And then stage two, once you start to ask, oh, what does that mean? What does that mean? What does that mean? Well, compared to stage one where you're not thinking about it, you're not thinking at all. The moment you start to ask, what does that mean? Then you've exited your psychic space, and now you're in your rational space, which means you've turned off those psychic abilities. Okay? And Nancy is saying, I interpret it as taking one step at a time. Awesome. And, Nancy, I love what you just said, because this actually leads into stage 3. So we're talking about the 3 stages of interpreting your psychic signals. So stage 1, you get the message, you're not thinking about it. Stage 2, you're asking, what does it mean? And in that moment, you could actually exit your psychic space by going into your rational space by thinking about it too much. Now, stage 3, and this is what I love about what Nancy just said. I interpret it as taking it one step at a time. Do you notice how confident she said that? Right? And Nancy just put a heart there. So stage 3 is trust. You got to trust. Right? So you got the signal, and you're asking yourself, what does it mean? And for some of you, if you're still not thinking about it, right? And just like what Nancy said, I take it as it just means one step at a time. So you got the meaning. Right? The problem here is that, rather than trusting, when you get to this third stage, rather than trusting, you start second guessing. Right? So how many of you get you got the signal, you got the message, but then you start to second guess yourself? Go ahead and type in the comments. Yep, I tend to do that. Right? And when you start to second guess yourself, then you question if that message was even real, let alone the signal in the first place, right? Excuse me. Yeah, a little bit of allergies, so pardon me. You start to second guess yourself, like, oh, I saw 1, 2, 3, 4, or even Monica saying, I see 36 everywhere. Oh my gosh, on the clock, on receipts, anywhere really, is driving me crazy. So, my response to you, Monique, is that perhaps the universe is really trying to get your attention. Do you get that? And until you stop second guessing yourself, until you start to trust, and until you start to get the analyzer out of the way, then a lot of times what's going to happen is you'll just keep seeing the same signals over and over and over and over again. Right? I actually have a friend, she's like, Joe, look, it's 333 again. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. You notice my response to it? I see the signals, and I immediately just drop into like, okay, what is this? What is Spirit trying to tell me? Okay. And then I'll get a message. It means, for me, whenever I get those repeating numbers, I get it. It means that Spirit is watching over you, right? You have nothing to worry about. That's how I interpret it. Now, I don't go around second guessing messages from Spirit. Right? Just stop that. If you're, Monique is saying, yep, I'm an analyzer. So, what I want to say is stop, right? Stop analyzing and stop second guessing yourself. And like I mentioned at the beginning of this lecture here, this mini lecture, is that guess who received the signal in the first place? You. Okay? So the minute you start asking everyone else, what does this mean? And then you start getting into your analyzer, and then you stop trusting yourself in the process. Guess what? The universe is going to say, like, okay, I'm going to try again later, when you could really stop thinking about it and all that. Okay. Is all this making sense? Hey, Michael, great to see you. Is all this making sense? So, let me just recap. If you're just joining, we're talking about the 3 stages to interpreting your psychic signals. So stage 1 is that you're getting the psychic signals in the first place. And at this stage, you're not thinking, you're not analyzing, you're not figuring things out, right? And that's a great space to be in when you're working your psychic space. Stage 2, the moment you start saying, oh, what does that mean? Well, it's great. It's great that you want to interpret it, right? But when you use your analyzer, when you start thinking, figuring things out, or analyzing it, guess what? You're no longer in your psychic space, right? So, at this stage of stage 2, stop thinking, right? Stop trying to be logical about it. It didn't come to you in a logical manner in the first place, right? And Nancy's saying, yes. Alicia's saying makes perfect sense. Philip's saying makes sense. Awesome. Once you get to past stage 2 and you get to stage 3, where you start to stop second guessing yourself and then start to trust. Does that make sense? So a lot of you are getting the meanings. A lot of you are getting the messages, but then you start to second guess yourself. So guess what the universe ends up doing? it ends up just giving you the same signal maybe another time, and then another time, and then another time. And then just like, Isha, great to see you. Great to see you. And just like what Monique said earlier, it's like, oh, I see 36 all the time. It's driving me crazy. Well, it's because what ends up happening is we're short-circuiting these 3 stages. Okay, somewhere along the stage where you're either thinking too much or you are not trusting yourself. All right, so with that, those are the 3 stages. And what I want to say at this stage is that until you get past, right, that first stage of just receiving signals, right? Because many of you receive the signals, but I find that many of the beginning psychics don't get past that first stage. They're just receiving signals all the time, but they're not getting to the stage where they can get the meaning or get the message behind the signal, right? And so if you're at that stage of always second guessing yourself, always analyzing, guess what? Here you are wanting to progress and develop your psychic abilities and gifts, but you're not going to, right? And yeah, Monique, you're saying it right there. You got to trust, right? Otherwise, you'll just be stuck at that first stage of, oh, I got the signal. Oh, I got the 333. But you won't ever get past that to get to the meanings of it, right? Or even some deeper spiritual truth that you're just missing out on, okay? And you won't ever grow as a psychic or an intuitive until you even get past and up to that trusting stage where it's you getting the messages, it's you getting the signals. So stop second guessing yourself, okay? And Nancy, what a gift. I love what you said, you had some trauma in your life. You lost 2 babies. Sorry to hear that. But now you said, now I have my rainbow baby now, right? So talking about receiving the message from Spirit, Nancy, the way I'm interpreting it for you is that you got the message from Spirit and look at the gift that you have now, right? And I'm not saying that it was a curse before. I'm not saying anything like that at all. However, what I am saying is that sometimes we ignore the messages, we ignore the signals. Why not receive? And that's really the true gift of being a psychic and opening up to your abilities. Does that make sense? And go ahead and just, leave a comment if all this is just, starting to land for you, right? It's you receiving the message, all right? And, here's one of the last things I really want to say before ending this lecture. Nancy's saying I'm going to cry. Oh, blessings to you, Nancy. I love that you're here. Thank you. Here's the truth. The truth of the matter is you are more than capable, okay? You're more than capable of A, getting the signals, B, interpreting the signals for yourself, and then C, to trust yourself, to learn to trust yourself. All right? Now, of course, everything I'm saying is easier said than done, right? So, what I want to offer people that are here listening to this lecture, learning about the 3 stages to interpreting your psychic signals, is that, there is training available, right? And you don't have to keep on where you're just stuck at that first stage. And, I've shared this with the group a few times, but not a lot of people tend to bite a lot of times. So, I just want to throw it out there that, there are spots available for my Psychic Awakening Mastery Training Program. All right. So I've had this for over a year now. And, what I want to let everyone know is I've actually made some really big changes to the program lately. And so that said, I am actually looking for some new founding members to help me test out this new platform. Okay. And, when you come in as a founding member, you're going to actually get founding member pricing. All right. So if you're interested in that and finding out more about training so that you can learn to, get the signals, to receive your messages, and to learn to trust your intuitive and psychic senses, just like what we covered in this lecture today. And then really after that, take your abilities to that next level, then reach out to me. Okay. Reach out to me. Let's talk. And so go ahead and PM me. And, what I like to do for people is you can schedule a 20-minute call with me. I'll find out more about where you're at, find out more about your situation, your gifts, and if you have any questions about your abilities. And I know many of you are so open, but you're still at that stage of like, what does this mean? What does this mean? Well, hop on a call, right? Hop on a call with me, schedule something with me. And then, once I find out about you, you can find out about me, find out more about the program. And, if you love what you hear, then I'm happy to share the details with you on how to enroll so that you can get this founding member access to my Psychic Awakening Mastery program. All right. So if that interests you, and I'm going to type this in the comments, go ahead and schedule a call with me, and you can go to www.mypsychicawakening.com/go. Okay. And there, you'll get a link to my scheduler, and then you could, book a 20-minute call with me, right? And let's get you into the program. Let's get you past that stage of second guessing yourself and really learning to trust your psychic and intuitive abilities. All right. So with that, I want to just leave you all with this message, and that is, we're all spirits in a body. And as spirit, you're more than capable, right? You're already connected to all the answers in the universe. But, it's our human experience that can get in the way sometimes. And being human, that's all about that doubt and, analyzing and everything that I covered in this lecture today, right? But sometimes part of your own spiritual awakening is where you can get past all this human condition, right? And then elevate your training, your abilities, your new levels of psychic awareness to higher and higher heights. All right. So if that calls to you, go ahead and reach out to me, PM me. Let's get you in the program. I'd love to tell you the details and get you enrolled. And let's get you to that next stage so that you no longer have to just keep wondering, right? What does that mean, right? You're no longer going to ask that question again. All right. So with that, hopefully that, this lecture made sense. Just to review what we talked about, the 3 stages. A is that you get the signal. B is that you get past the rational mind and the thinking mind. And then stage 3 is when you start to trust. And then when you could get past those 3 stages, that's only the beginning, everyone. Right? That's the beginning of your psychic awakening. All right. So with that, thank you. Thank you so much for joining. I like to keep these to under half an hour. And I'll just read some comments. Alicia says, thank you. Nancy, we love you. Joe, I love you too. Thank you so much. Isha, I saw that you just did a heart there. So thank you. Glad that you can join us. Like I said, if you have any questions at all, feel free to PM me, book this 20-minute breakthrough call, discovery call with me. And any questions, just, continue to share in the group. All right. Many blessings to you, and I'll talk to you all later. All right. All right. Yeah, you're welcome, Philip. You're welcome. Okay. I will talk to you all later. Bye.